Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of Real Love. And we are in our couples love language series. We have Mr. and Mrs. Najjar, Hannibal Najjar, and they are going to leave us some successful clues about what is this wonderful couples love language all about. Hello, how are you this morning?
Fine, thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Oh, I thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedules to bless us with some of the wonderful nuggets that successful marriage leaves. So we just want to, I guess we'll just start off by, asking how did you meet?
You
We
know,
always we
I'll
always get two
answer.
sides.
We both tried to reflect on our recollection of it, and we couldn't help but have at least the same memory for the beginning time of our lives. Go ahead.
I was 16 years old, and a friend at a college nearby visited my home and brought Hannibal with him, who was his friend. They played on a soccer team together, so they were close friends. And this friend came to our house, and Hannibal was there. He came, he was very quiet. That first day, he didn't say a word. He sat on the chair and didn't say a word. But, I looked at him and he looked at me. And next thing, it led to a second visit and a third visit. And next thing you know, I was 16, he was just turning 17. And here we are at 66 and 67 years.
Oh my goodness. Isn't that wonderful?
Well,
It started
I
with
wanted
a look.
I wanted to spice up that first meeting anyhow. It was what she said, but there was more to it. I think once I did see her when she came out, as she said, 16, I'm 17, I'm waiting. I just accompanied my friend, which was a friend to their family. And I think, when I first saw her, there was that immediate attraction. And later on, she kind of told me that it was, but I had noticed she too was attracted because I saw that little twinkle in her eye and a second and third look at me before I left. And very quickly, I arranged to have a second visit because I wanted to confirm what I thought I saw in that first visit. So, and then that was where the building block of what we have today, 50 years later, came from.
50 years later, that is so much to celebrate. Congratulations, first and foremost. That is amazing. Now, I always ask, if there is a secret ingredient, what is that secret ingredient? Everybody asks.
For me, I would say the secret ingredient is to do everything you can to keep that initial love and attraction and excitement, to keep that initial feeling alive, so that throughout the journey, with all its ups and downs, we've raised 4 kids, we have 7 grandkids. There were lots of ups and downs for sure. But throughout the ups and downs, you essentially need to be committed to trying to keep the love and the understanding, the looking out for the other person, the wanting the happiness of the other person, and the unit that you've worked to build, because after 10, 15 years, then now you've invested this time into this relationship and this family. So 20 years later, then it is like an investment truly that you're trying to secure and protect. And very much aware of the fact that to protect this relationship and this marriage and this family unit, that you need all of your resources, patience and love and understanding and commitment to hard work and to sharing and forgiving and all of those things that everybody knows about. But sometimes in the individual issues, it's sometimes hard to see above the issue and to see those bigger goals that you're striving for. So I think the successful marriages are the ones that have not allowed the issues to pull them down, but have kept that bigger goal and bigger happiness and security of the marriage, prime in their lives.
And
Wow. I'm blown away. You know, I'm sitting here, I take notes because, like I said, success leaves clues. And wow, I'm blown away. I've taken almost 2 pages of notes. All right, we're throwing the ball in your court, sir.
well, yeah, pretty much what she said, she will cover it from a woman's and a mother's and grandmother's perspective, because most of the times I think her level of tolerance for changes in each of our emotions is higher than my level of tolerance. I'm a father, I'm a coach, I'm a, an administrator in ways sometimes where, have a position that a yes is a yes and a no is a no, but in between her views, it's more like a maybe and a maybe not, and she tends to kind of balances it out, but at the same balance it out. But at the same time, there's sometimes, the ingredient that I think one particular one that is strong in maintaining our togetherness to keep it working is the acceptance of our differences, and the sense of tolerating, because when we are at home and we're in each other's company after 5 years, after 20 years, after 40 years, after 50 years of knowing each other, you know each other well, and therefore you cover each other's backs when you could sense a day that is difficult or hard, or a mood that is not, the best, and we cope with each other in that manner. Some of the answers that will go into these ingredients to make it work will also be surely covered in the one that is talking about longevity to keep the marriage. I see as, so I'm going to save some of what I would like to have said here for the thing that is more substantive, because of the fact that we're talking about what makes it work and what still has it working, knowing each other for 50 years. So there's a strong comeback when we reach that point that we talked about in the earlier parts about what might we want to talk about regarding what keeps us in love, because I am in love with her still. And the strength of what we started with, I have multiplied it many times, thanks to God in our lives.
Wow. I keep saying wow because I see there's such a smooth flow, and then your words just complement one another, and you complement each other. And I think some of the things that Ms. Najjar, you spoke about, and you said these are the things that people know. But truthfully, as I'm doing interviews and talking with people, a lot of people really don't know these simple basic ingredients. When we're talking about investing, it's an investment, and you're going to secure and protect that investment. I hear the sincerity, I hear the tolerance, and it does take that. And one of the things Mr. Najjar, you just spoke about was the change in emotions and growth, because we do grow in 50 years. Wow, think about the different levels. But again, in stressing what you're saying about the tolerance and the balance, the togetherness, and then acceptance of each other's differences. People really need to hear this, because with the divorce rate the way that it is, and with people not understanding that it's a true commitment, it's a truth of being all in. And I love what you said, Mr. Jar, about taking care of each other's heart, is what I heard. I know I'm kind of paraphrasing it, but basically really caring enough to take care of one another's heart.
Yeah. And I think if I could add this here now that you're bringing some reminding notes to my head, when I first met her on that day, and then we eventually came around to wanting to date each other, I had, a girl that was my girlfriend before that. And I did see the need for me to be able to go and just meet with her and tell her that I can no longer be seeing her because I am taking up a relationship with this other person. And the message was important for me because very early, since my 17th year and maybe before, I felt relationships were precious, strong, and that I was looking for the right relationship as soon as possible, and not for letting it drag into relationship onto relationship and things that are happening that you damaging the lives of others. And therefore I could, respectfully, to a very nice girl, suggested that, I was needing to go and meet with Annette in this case. And one of the things that cemented that for me is me observing her as a 16-year-old, that would she make a good wife? Which, I'm looking at some behaviors, some things that we will talk about, some reactions in her home. And then eventually, if she'll make a good wife, then I will imagine from the big family she came from, which is 9 children, and I from 7, that she would learn to be a good mother. She's not yet a mother, but is this very thing, because I come from a strong family of mother and a father, as she did grow up with her mother and father too. And the mother was very prominent in her life, their lives, as it was in mine. So I kept looking for the things that is this going to be a long-term relationship, long into marriage? And as you can see, it was. So my young 17-year-old mind was not looking for a girl, was looking for more than what God made women and men to be, apart from male and female distinctions.
And wow. I'm writing here, but I think you all have a great book here, a great love story here. It's amazing, and the thing that I'm not saying that it came easy for you, but it's so smooth and it works. I can feel it from the screen, and this is why I'm enjoying this real love language of successful couples, because 50 years, I'm definitely giving you a trophy for success.
But don't let that up to 5 minutes before we came on this show, we had a blowout about what the room setup should be like. So we let the people listening understand it was a little difference that led to a little explosion, because I am like that. And now I'm boiling down, and you think I am smooth and rhythmic in everything, but there's rough edges.
Well, you bring me back to the next point of how do you handle conflict?
So can I use our conflict of 2 minutes ago?
That would be wonderful. Real life experience, yes.
Because by nature, the essential personalities between Hannibal and I are very different. I am more level, and he's more up, down, up, like you wouldn't believe, mountaintop and valleys. So anyway, he's there talking, he knows this interview is on for 10 o'clock. He's there talking on the phone to a friend. I am the one, even though he set it up with you, I am the one who's observing the time and thinking, okay, we need to at least set up the rule. He has to get dressed. He was in his short pants up to 10 minutes ago. So I say to him, Hannibal, it's 9:30, He gets mad because I'm trying to rush him. He is a very tardy person. He's late about everything. And a lot of our disagreements have to do with timing, which is something to make the point serious. It's something that, like, you meet somebody, they're in their 20s, we are now in our 60s. There are some things that change, but there are some things that are part of the person that really do not change over the 40 years. So his preoccupation with what he's doing in the moment causes him often to be late for appointments or places we're going, whatever. And we constantly have arguments about timing. Let's go, let's leave now, look at the time. If you have to be somewhere at 7 o'clock, you cannot leave the house at 7, That's an essential difference between us. And I think
how we resolve this conflict?
I think the way you resolve it is with patience and understanding, because I am never going to make him like me. I'm a person very organized, very meticulous. If I have to do something at 10 o'clock, by 9:45, I'm organized, my bag is on the steps, I'm ready. He is not like that. And no amount of my arguing and fussing with him is actually going to change him. So while I do get frustrated in the moment when something is happening, I have to try to remember to be patient. He is not me and I am not him. To be patient and to accept it, and to put whatever little practical steps I can in place to make it run a little smoother. And that is one of the things I think with regard to resolving conflict, is an appreciation of the differences between the two people, and my working with his weakness and he working with my weaknesses. Because, I gave the example of a weakness on his side, of course, but he can probably give you 20 of weaknesses on my side. And essentially, in both cases, the point is that you have to, it comes back to your commitment to the bigger goal. Once you are committed to the bigger goal, then all these little problems in between, you deal with it in a very practical, respectful, as easy as possible way of handling it. You find little tricks, little things to do along the way to kind of smooth over those differences where they become an issue.
Well, I would splice in here. Everything that she has said is about exactly right. And I think from the beginning, she had known there was your personality. I guess you get it from your family, you inherit certain things. And I come from a more vociferous, expressive culture. Both my parents are from Lebanon, and they have a vivaciousness about them, about everything. And me being a sportsman, you have to have highs and lows in order to survive competitively, professionally. You can't be a middle of the road professional athlete and be successful. You have to have it in a way like that. I think one of the things that to complement everything that she said, that is a big part of our resolution to resolving conflict, and so is spiritual intimacy. Having a sense that we were created, we were together, we were brought together, we were one. We became one in flesh, but we also became one with God in a spiritual sense, that we feel like, the importance of recognizing that the answers are not going to always be in front of us because we are have learned from our parents, or we have learned from books, or we are educated or what, but there's a sense of the heart and the soul that if we have a relationship with God, then we understand that he has a relationship with us. And we did go to a church to get married, and therefore it's not done and finished with there. It had only begun where we brought him into the picture. And sorry for the incorrect language of him in God with the society we live in today, and what is happening now with equalizing men and women to be a nobody but equal fully. I say that God really is the one that brought us together, and we signed that, but we signed a covenant forever. And therefore we must include God in our dealings and our conflicts. And many times, like, I'll be very explicit here in saying this, so that we all know the importance of God. God covers us in every aspect of our dealing. And if we use him first and then bring us together, then we know that he is not a divider, he's a unifier. And that brings the spirit around us to make us more compatible and complete rather than combative and competitive.
Wow, that is absolutely beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful, and I'm happy that you brought out that part of it, the the three chords that bind. And that's something that's absolutely, absolutely necessary. Wow.
Yes.
So, I mean, I'm mesmerized here. I'm generally not at a lack of words, but you're flooring me over here. I'm trying to keep my composure.
We only sharing what is from the heart. Nothing is made up, because we talk about this a lot, and as you ask more questions, you'll see that the togetherness, the love of wanting to be with each other and do things together has brought us into conversations about many, many things.
Right. And I think the points that you're bringing out here is truly the essence of a successful relationship. And then, it's just the whole pie. I always talk about my mama's sweet potato pie because she made the best pie. Everybody was knocking down the door. And I think, everybody, that is interested in having a successful marriage, when they lean into what you're sharing from your heart and about, the answers are right here. If we really want them, the answers are here. I had another question for you. How did he propose to you, Miss Najjar?
We had a very, very long courtship because, as you can tell, we were very young. And between the age of 16 and age of 26, when we actually got married, I was 25 in the June, turning 26 in the July. So almost 10 years of courtship. During that period, we had a lot of challenges. And he was away studying in Canada, so physical distance also involved in that, away studying in Canada, coming back home for holidays, that up and down, all kinds of stuff going on. But eventually, I think we knew from the very beginning that we wanted to get married, but all of the practical things of our age and family situation, etc., prevented that. And eventually he had actually gone to Hannibal, left to his family migrated to Costa Rica from Trinidad and Tobago, which is our native country. And his family migrated to Costa Rica, and he went with his parents and the younger siblings to help them get set up. So again, we were separated for almost 9 months there. But when he did leave them in Costa Rica and came back to Trinidad, I think he came back with the resolve that, it's he's coming back to Trinidad, and we are going to get married. When he actually proposed, we were sitting in the car, just sitting in the car, talking about life and all that had gone down, etc., and professing our love to each other. And he said, I think, really we need to get married. We should get married. Now is the time. He has told his parents he's not coming back to Costa Rica, and he wants us to get married. And I said yes. And, he knew I was ready. I said yes. And we set a very quick preparation for the actual wedding. When we actually talked and he proposed, it was like in the January of the year, and we got married in June. Because, we were mentally absolutely ready for years, had been ready mentally. All our friends and all our family knew that we were committed to each other. It was just about kind of like setting a date, and that setting of the date was really just dependent on practical things around us. So,
and so, Mr. Najjar, a lot of men have lost the art of courtship. Can you please help them out here and let them know what is courtship about?
I am a professor in that. let me tell you what courtship is about. Courtship is really a pursuit of something that you want. When Christ said that the church was his bride, and the importance of it, is whether you identify this person, first of all, that you want to court as being special, as being unique, as being one. Why would I choose her over the number of girls and women that could have been from many different countries and experiences? It is really seeing if what you thought you saw in the beginning that made you go back for that second visit is rare and can be ripened and become, this tasty fruit. You buy a big mango and you put it down and you wait till it gets, that's the kind of thing, being patient and courting. I loved, the 5 love languages speak about giving gifts, receiving gifts, giving gifts, not receiving, but I think that's something, I court from very early. Within 1 year, I gave her an engagement ring. I knew she was going to be the woman that I wanted to marry. It was a promise. And you continue to court, visiting, calling, not being a nuisance, but taking cues from it, whether you're calling at the right time and how excited the both are on the opposite end of a dial phone, which is what we have. Most people wouldn't know that dial phone. So it's staying true to it and being pursuant of it in a steady manner as you would anything that you love dearly and want to preserve. And if her birthday comes around and I knew she had like 5 things, I will get 5 different. I pick up the cues before and I will go and get them, either make them or buy them and wrap them differently and watch her open them one by one. And I knew she never faked it. Oh, I love this kind of thing, but went through it and you enjoy it, and being true. I was a little difficult in the early years if we want to go to a movie and, I kind of chose the movies. And she was kind enough to allow me, although she might have had a suggestion. So there was the tolerance that persevered and allowed us to be here now that, we tend to more mix and match, although sometimes she allows me the choosing more because, it means more to me, I guess, than it does to her. The proposal, as she indicated, was a very exciting time. We waited long for it. There were our trials that we had going through, but there was never a separation in my mind, whether it was the 2 separate years in Canada or the 6 months in Costa Rica, that she wasn't with me. I courted her visually and mentally, rehearsed every lovely thing about her. It was just a love that, today, 50 years later, I speak about it. Sometimes she asks me, why you talk about it so far back? What about now? I said, no, but the energy and the strength was in the foundation. So, I bring it back and I couple it with the, not new, but a different love now that we have for each other and strengthen it with the love that we had as young teenagers. So I continue to court her. She says she's like this and I'm like this. I'm like this every time I see her. I go to the doctor. They come to take my blood pressure. They said, why is your blood pressure high? I said, I just said, why?
That's wonderful.
Why is your blood pressure? I'm going to my wife, So every time I think of her, I have high blood pressure.
That is amazing. So
you never stop. It's
never
not
stop.
something you choose to do. The love makes you do it. And I'm just passionate, compassionate, I'm romantic, we'll talk about something that is to do with a pastor that he said it, CPR, or how you preserve the love that you have to practice CPR. And, I guess, what keeps us going is that CPR too, and that would be a good thing for us.
Tell her what the CPR
Well,
is.
we went to this wedding of a young man and woman that I used to teach. They were in high school. So, I get to go to all these weddings because, I have a love relationship with people, with life, with a human being. We have so much confusion in today's world about color of the skin when there is a beautifulness in God's creation of it. So kids really gravitate around me because I'm different. And most people this or that and on that shelf, but I'm on every shelf. So we went to this wedding and the priest, the pastor indicated that you have to embrace this CPR concept to understand the survival, and consider your wife and your husband as your companion. Must be companionship. The P, there is your partner. There must be a partnership. And there is romance. Never let it die. So in a lot of ways, that's a bingo for me. That's a message. I'm a person that latches on to things like that, and then I could write chapters on them because they spark things that sit in you that have only now been unlidded when you hear something like that. So that keeps me. I'm a very romantic person. If you were to close your eyes, I'll give her a kiss now, right?
I'm gonna close my eyes.
So those things, it keeps you courting, and don't fool yourself by talking about it, but it's a reciprocity thing. You talk about it, but then it comes back to you and reminds you, hey, when last did you speak? When last did you say that? And you keep generating. It's like a combustible thing. It keeps snowballing and keeping you always courting and youthful in your energy.
Wow, I could actually listen to the two of you for hours and hours and hours on end. I'm just, I have my little notes right here. I'm going to put them all in order here. But, if there was anything or one thing that you wanted to leave everybody with, what would that be? What nugget would you give? I mean, you've dropped so many. I hate to even ask for more. I feel a little selfish. But is there anything else that you could leave everybody with if you were to tie it all into a nice, neat bow?
Well, I would like to pick up on what Hannibal said, the C part of the CPR. The P, the partnership is a business, and we talked about that, the marriage, you're working on something. And of course, the romance, very, very important. But I think the companionship thing is also where I see many young couples missing the boat on that. Because I believe that even from our courtship days, it was a testing period of whether we enjoyed each other's company and whether we enjoyed not everything the same, but many things the same. We enjoyed traveling, we enjoyed beach, we enjoyed this, that, the other, a few things, playing cards. These are things that say the companionship part of it, that as you move through life, you will enjoy, because I think marriage should be enjoyable, that there are many things that you will enjoy and do together, and both love doing it. One is not traipsing behind the other. You both enjoy and love it and are excited to do it and happy to do it together, kind of thing. So I think that companionship thing is a very big thing. So that's one of the things I'd like to stress, because I see so many young couples, the husband goes and does his thing, and the wife goes and does her thing and to me, like, they don't do many things together. And I always see a danger in that. But if you ask me for the one last nugget that I would leave, is that marriage is not easy. My last nugget is a warning, but when you get into marriage, you need to be prepared for the sacrifices that it entails, that it's not easy, but it absolutely is worth it. Marriage is hard, but it's worth it. I, at my age now, and for the last 20 years, so I'm talking about in the late 40s, 50s, have observed many people, I'm speaking also from the female perspective, many women who ended up divorced. Their marriage failed. Sometimes a first, sometimes a second marriage failed. And so they're sitting in their 50s, what should I say, companionless, empty, sad, unhappy. And I think, if they had worked hard on their marriage, yes, it may have gone through some rocky times, but in the end, they would have been rewarded with moving through the later stages of life with a companion, someone to share life, someone to share health issues, someone to share everything with, to go on trips with, etc. And I do see many divorced or even widowed. I do see many women who are left alone, and realize that if you measure up the benefits of working through even a difficult marriage, measure up the benefits from it, I think the pluses far outweigh the minuses. And
I think,
therefore,
yeah.
it's
No, go
hard to
ahead.
look at it.
I think the thing of it is, and the blessing and benefit of what we're doing here, you know, being a part of the wellness of life, a lot of young girls, and I want to speak from the woman's perspective, a lot of young girls didn't get this understanding. And the things that you're bringing here now, you will be able to bless a lot of young women that are really lost because they didn't get these foundational principles. And so I hear a lot of women, they don't know how to date. They don't even know how to, you know, allow or select, or go through the selection process. You don't know what a courtship is. That's why, you know, I think, you know, Mr. Najjar, for the information about courtship. A lot of young men, they didn't have the examples, they didn't have the models. So we go to that perspective that, you know, you have these little babies that grow up into young men and they don't have an example. You know, that's why I embrace, you know, like we have a beautiful network of people that we work around and that we, you know, that we help one another, you know, to walk in our purpose. And I embrace the men there because what you just talked about energy and strength in the foundation, and that's the key piece in pretty much in everything, is having a good, healthy, successful foundation. And you just walked us just so graciously through what an example of a healthy foundation, courtship, you know, and then going into the success that we see here.
Yeah.
So yes.
Yeah. Nuggets are always a nice thing. You think of it glowingly, and say all that glitters is not gold necessarily, but the truth is gold always glitters.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, though glittering is not, gold always glitter. And we have to embrace the fact that a person is a piece of gold that God wants to see glitter all the time. A human being, the complexity of a soul that sits inside of a human being, male or female, is magnificent. If we stop at times to think of how magnificent the human body, mind, and soul is, then you take up a more precious approach to like you would put aside other things that you think are precious. You have to do that in that sense too as well. For me, the crux to as a nugget would be getting something that reminds you of why you are in it. And each morning, sometimes I say each morning, it's not everyone, but 95% of the times I get up and I think of my day, how I am going to enter my day. You enter the day by opening your front door. Well, I entered by opening the front part of my mind by reciting a few things that in everything that I'm going to be doing, I want to be doing it as a person, as a believer, walking to God's way. So if I kick into that, I would say, then I will be following what God wants, and through his word, I will not fail, because there's nothing in there that is a failing recipe. So it's keeping that principle of spiritual intimacy with God ahead of everything that you're about to do, and being strong about it. I create a mantra with what I call the 7 F's. And I kind of see if at the end of the day, I come back and I check to see if I did live it through. Did my faith, it begins with my faith. Did my faith Did I fail my faith, or is my faith the thing that drove me first and foremost? How did I react to things to do with my family? That's the second F. Family second. Football is what I use because that is a mantra. I stole faith, family, and football from Tom Landry, the ex-football coach for Dallas Cowboys. He led his life through those three things, first, second, and third, in that order. Some take precedence over the other in terms of the amount of time you spend on it, but never in the order of where they belong in the hierarchy. So I follow that. So I go with my faith, my family, my football, but my work. Then I apply fidelity. I must never be unfaithful to either God or to my wife or my children. I will never want to be caught in a compromising situation where I have to be, ashamed of myself and lie to my children, grandchildren, or not mention anything to my wife. There is feeding the mind. Join things that bring you closer to the thing that you desire most. Your life with your wife is crucial, with your family is crucial. So go to movies, pick the right movies, the one that encourage togetherness. There's a movie, Still Mine is the name, and it is a beautiful movie that everybody should look at. The Beautiful Mind was another. The movie Still Mine was one. Beautiful Mind is the other. And many movies that enhance why people last long. We had an experience not too long ago where I was helping my church move some people out of a house because they were divorcing. They were 75. This was like 15 years ago, more than that. They were in divorce mode. Everything is set for divorcing, two of them. They were in the 70s. And I was helping, and I am listening to them still arguing with each other in the house where we have many church helpers, and they are disputing each other over which belonging is for me and which is for you. And I thought to myself, how did you ever get there? Being together into your 70s, and you are going to expire this relationship, discussing which CD is mine and whatever nonsense there is. Wow. So that's a problem. The nugget to that is really following your course of action that you plan for each day, and coming home and reporting to yourself on your bedside before you sleep. You put your head on your pillow. How did I perform in the areas that matter to me most? So you take an account of yourself in the performance of your faith, your family, your football, or your hard work, your fidelity, your friendships, develop friendships. Absolutely find the right friends. We tell our children all the time, if you lie down with dogs, you get up with fleas. Show me your friends, I'll tell you who you are. Those different things. Be sure, I pray for my children and grandchildren on a daily basis that the company they get, that is the most important thing, is to help them be safeguarded against the dangers. Let it be wise company, good company. So I go to friendships, develop good friendships, feed your mind good things, go to good movies, good conferences, enrich each other with those things. And then lastly, have time to be a child again. I use this finding Nemo. Laugh a lot, have fun, enjoy each other. She had loved me because I was humorous. The first meeting, she said I was stiff because I was shocked into the beauty I was seeing in front of me. I couldn't say a word. The second time I had to come and say many words. So I did that, and having fun and laughing is probably the second best thing to follow, other than following God's lead, is really enjoying life. And then finding Nemo, I use that to say, get down on the ground and play with the kids. Find time to be a child with the children. You can't ask them to be like you as an adult. You have to stoop and go to that level. And I don't mean stoop in a bad way. Get down on the ground and roll on the ground and laugh with the kids. watching the movie Finding Nemo or whatever else that the kids love.
I'm trying to figure out what to name this episode with the two of you, and I went through so many thoughts in my head.
I have something. Honey
What is
and
that?
Annie. I'm
What?
Hannibal and she's Annette. Honey and Annie.
Annie and Annie. I'm thinking about that one, but you just gave me Finding Nemo too. I mean,
Honey and Annie. Yeah, whatever, you go ahead, my dear. You know what you.
we will work that out. But I've had such an amazing time today, and I so appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedules to just come and bless us. And I so appreciate that. And just thank you and congratulations. I mean, that's amazing. We want to celebrate that 50 years. So with that, with all of that, I just thank you so much. And everybody, just make sure that you like and that you share. The optimal word here is share, because there's somebody that actually needs to hear this message, that needs to hear the success. And success does leave clues, as we demonstrated it here today. So again, like, share, and subscribe, and we'll be back. Bye for now.
Well, we wish you all the best.